bars in a rave. Man, I go hard like Santan.
Hello. Back in the building. It's been a long time. Should have left without a hot beat to step to.
Come on.
Listen. Feels good, baby. Feels good, baby.
Oh, it's good to be back. It's
Back
very
in
good.
the cut. Back in the cut, man. It's your boy Coach Dave, and I'm here on hosting duties with my good brothers. We got a front three that I think if we had played in 4 out of the last 5 games or so, we would have qualified for the Champions League, and a certain manager in North London would be not dropping bombs left, right, and centre like Tony Blair did in the early 2000s. I'm going to introduce them one by one.
That was a crazy opening.
That's crazy. What a line. I'm proud.
Wet.
I like.
You've been writing that one for 6 weeks, I can tell.
That drop.
Return promo.
One by one, my boy Sai, aka NSO Kevin Yash. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm well rested, vibing, and yeah, ready for Yao smoke, Ohio smoke, Sai smoke, right? Smoking up the place. Puff pass, motherfucker.
Moving on next to NSO's macho man himself, the man who scours the academy for talent across London, not just Spurs, keeps us up to date on what's happening in the ranks, under 16, under 18, under 21, but we keep it PG. Ohio, what are you saying, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Obviously, nursing some busted ankle ligaments at the moment, but it's good to be back on the pod. It's been a minute. You know what I'm saying? But I just got to keep drinking my milk, you know what I mean? Keep the bones strong. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Oh my God. That is the haymaker of. I'm not letting that slide. No chance. I'm not letting that slide. Don't worry, we'll take this back to the group. I'm not letting this one slide. No chance whatsoever.
I can't. Oh, my life. All right, from Milk to Wache, introducing the final member on with us today, my good brother, my Ghanaian brother. The diplomat has left the building, been replaced by something that we all feared, but we all knew was inevitable. Fine, I'll do it by myself.
Oh,
Yao, aka Scott Hall. How you doing, brother?
First and foremost, because I know obviously this is live, and I'm not taking my words back. And you're a prick. Listen, I'm back, people. I couldn't even hold it back. I thought I'd work my way into it and be like, nope, no. He's a fascio, because you need to understand. I can't even say hello to you people. This guy has ruined my household in the last 4 weeks. Ruined it. Yeah, my children don't look at me the same. Like, raw, this is the team you made us support. Yeah. Because misery begets misery, bruv. Because I'm not going down by myself. Yeah, we're all going down together. Yeah, now the little one looking at me like, it's a bit higgy, but I like the kit. So I know we're gonna get into it. It's good to be back, and I got a bit of the gruff, so I need to get one of these shape ups, one of these, little tender little love and care and all that kind of stuff, so I can make myself look pretty again. I can't touch milk no more. I'm straight chocolate milk, but rough. That's what I'm gonna say. Hey, when you look, you know what I'm saying? Don't look too hard. Okay, player.
Let's move it on.
Ohio's having enough Dolce Electric for all of us, bro.
Yeah. Before we get into too much trouble, Spurs versus Man City. We played on Tuesday night. The last home game officially of the season. Obviously, the lads had the lap of honour after the Burnley game. which we scraped 2-1. Going into the Man City game, a lot of talk about the reaction or the commentary on social media, a bit of a quote-unquote polarizing conversation going on. TalkSport were obviously all over it, social media, Twitter, Instagram, apparently even in the halls of N17 at the lodge, there were conversations, jokes being made about our approach to the game, because there were implications. Were we going to try and position ourselves to capitalize on any sort of mistake or mishap from Aston Villa at the weekend, or in terms of Champions League qualification, or were we going to just lay down and die so that we could give Man City the best opportunity to win the league and obviously spoil the red parade in our city? It's an interesting one. Obviously, there's been so much debate. I'm sure we've spoken about it over the past few weeks in the lead up to the game. But let's break down the game itself, because we saw Ange go with a slightly different lineup, a youthful bench, and we'll speak on that in a moment. Si, just from your perspective, when you saw the lineup, we're now an hour away from kickoff. What were you thinking? What did you want from the game?
So first and foremost, when I saw the lineup, I had to question the integrity of our manager to have plodded along for the last few weeks with makeshift left backs when we had a ripe and ready Mickey van der Ven ready and waiting to play left back. We've got a centre back that we spent money on earlier in the season in Dragoshin. Some will say who looks like Vuj. So Vuj at centre back. And we've just not utilised any form of balance in our back line for the better part of 4 or 5 weeks since Udogie went out. So for me, it was a bit baffling that it's taken so long for him to make this decision. Obviously, on paper, it's a big game, but it's also a dead rubber, really. Nothing is really, nothing was really positioned for us to do anything of note. It would have been either pride or hand Arsenal the league, pretty much. And for me, it was just a little bit baffling. We saw Maddison playing, on Sky Sports, they had him listed as the left wing, which again is just a little bit confusing given the context of the season. And it just seemed a bit strange, to be honest. It's I'm all for managers finally seeing the error in their ways, but the timing of it just seemed a little bit nasty. It seemed like saving face and seemed like a means for him to position himself as superior to the football club's mentality, as we'll definitely touch on later on in the day. So I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest.
I hear that, and I'm sure we'll probably look into a little bit more about that left back situation. Yao, Maddison left wing ends up being a bit more of a diamond situation with Flood in the midfield. What's your thoughts? Was it brave from Ange? Was it cowardly to only now decide to do it when finally it's almost like he's pushed backed into a corner because we've only got 2 games left? What's your thoughts on that?
So for most of the season, if not, I'd say probably 80% of the season, I've backed Ange's stubbornness to stick with not only his team, but his selection. Especially when he was selecting 4 fullbacks and playing them as a back line. Now, what has irritated me the more that I've thought about this is I imagine that Arsenal played, if I'm correct, it was Sunday. So I imagine the conversations that Ange was pissed off about had probably taken place between, say, Sunday, maybe even Saturday, all the way up to Tuesday. So he had time to think of the team he was going to select. And I generally think he selected this team to go and get results, to go and get a victory against Man City on the sole basis of whatever he was hearing at the lodge. So, okay, you people think we're just going to throw this game now. I'm not going to play Emerson at left back. I'm not going to play anyone else at that. I'm gonna actually try and be tactical here, and I'm going to play Mickey at left back. And what pisses me off is you decided to do that now. Like, you didn't even change your philosophy. You had Mickey still tucking in, because I've seen the highlights. You know, I've gone and seen the extended. You still had Mickey tucking in. You didn't really change your philosophy, which kind of hampered us, because I don't think that was Mickey's best game, by the way. But it kind of hampered us. But it allowed us to also be quite dangerous against City. We only lost 2-0. Out of the last, 4 or 5 games, that's probably the most measured we've looked in 90 minutes of football since we faced Aston Villa. We didn't look good against Newcastle. I'm not going to talk about the team up north that we got absolutely blamed by 3-0. I don't know why nobody... I don't understand this. We were 3-0 down before half-time. Why didn't people just put their control pads and go home? Because that's what we do back in the day. Give it to the next player. We're not over here no more. Then, a few days later, we go to Chelsea. Well, we all know what that result was. And then we go up north to Ohio Town and got absolutely blambastic. And now this is the game that you wanna decide, oh no, we're gonna go for it. We're gonna get points. And you think the fans are not gonna be like, buddy, mate, what are you doing here? Yeah. Do you know the implications of what you are doing right now? Like, all of this chatter that's kicked off is all because 9 times out of 10, especially in our group chat, yeah, we don't like Arsenal. But the long and short of it is we want Tottenham to do well. Yeah. If we believed within a strong chance that we could beat Burnley, beat City, beat Sheffield United and get top 4, we'll take it. Ramifications of Arsenal winning the league, such as life, we'll actually take it. But the hypocritical, habitual line stepping that I've been hearing this week is unbelievable. We lost. We weren't going to win, by the way. I didn't think we were going to do anything in that game. Yeah, we had chances to score and stuff like that. But we've had chances to score in most of the other games that we lost as well. So it meant nothing to me. But we lost this game. But for rival fans to be like, you guys are a bunch of losers. Listen. You guys are unfortunate. I was diplomatic for 8 months of this season. I'm not diplomatic no more. I'm telling you, some nasty stuff are about to come out of my mouth today. Yeah, it's going to be foul. You Arsenal man that had the audacity to call our club losers were the same fans on Arsenal Fan TV saying you'd rather lose the Europa League final if it meant Spurs didn't win the Champions League. This is your own mentality that you're now saying, oh, you can't do it because it's going to cost you the league. This is the reason why. Well, Ange, as I said at the top of this, you're a prick. Yeah. You have, listen, this summer, the first 4 months of next season, I'm watching you. You're under surveillance in ways that you've never been under surveillance. I'm going to scrutinize everything. I'm going to scrutinize your tie, the way you iron your shirt. I'm going to scrutinize everything. This summer, I need to see something serious. Yeah, fine. You've had your whole season. We've seen like your implementation. We've seen, I'd say out of the 12 defeats, if I'm correct, we've had, out of the 12 defeats, 8 of those have been nasty. 4, okay, yeah, we were unfortunate. Our fault. We didn't finish, we didn't do the job pro. But the other 8, disgusting. I'm not going to tolerate that next season. I really ain't. I will be there front and center to hurl abuse. You see how Andrew was furious talking to the fan saying, who are you talking to, mate? Yeah, I'll be that fan. I'll be that fan that will be cussing him out because I'm not having it. I'm glad, if you want my honest opinion, I'm glad the results are what they are, because the truth of the matter is, had it not been, people would have been like, oh, you helped us, now go get you. No, we wouldn't have got Champions League. Knowing us, we probably would have gone and drawn and lost to Sheffield United. Top 5, first season, get it done. But what I would like to say is this before we move on to, the honourable gentleman of Ohio, because it's been a long time since I've been on a podcast with my brother from Liverpool. I'd like to say that people, there's a cause for celebration. We finally reached the end of an era, a horrible era in our time period, an absolute disgusting era in our time period. The era of Tobias is over. All of his favourites are going. I got rid of Winks. I got rid of Dyer. But that Viking was hanging on for dear life. And this summer will finally be the end. And the era of Tobias and his twin brother Cybot is done. It's done. It's over. We are finally coming into the new era. I call it the era of milk. Calcium.
My brother.
No, within our ranks.
God
We shall now see trophies. I believe. I don't know if it's going to be under Ange, but I believe we've done with all the mid pack. Yeah. Actually, no, I tell a lie because we've got Chris Brown at right wing, but that's a different story for a different day. But we're done with the majority of mid pack. Finally, we might be able to move on to some real ballers. I can't wait.
Ohio, I'm going to quickly come to you. Man City, Spurs. It's one of the ones we are the bogey team, aren't we? I saw a stat. We've got the most points against them over the years. Even early in the season, we went away and we had the likes of, I think Emerson was at centre back, probably Ben Davies, I think, was at centre back as well. I think that's a day where we had like 4 fullbacks on the pitch, and we got a 3-3 draw. We just managed to nick results against them. Obviously, the Champions League won a few years back, 5 years back now. We went up against them in the quarterfinals, rode our luck a lot of that of both games, but got through. So we seem to have this thing, especially at our stadium. They hadn't scored at our stadium in 5 years in the league. I think that was a stat. So that first goal was always going to be crucial. They didn't score in the first half. We were playing well. As the game went on, I don't know how much you caught of it, but maybe seeing stuff coming on the group chat, you're hearing that we're playing well. The ramifications. What's your thoughts? What are you thinking? Are you going, oh my gosh, are we actually going to do this? Are we actually going to be the usual Spurs? Not the Spurs that turned up against Arsenal and was 3-0 down past the pad at halftime. Not Spurs that rolled over and let Cucurella look like prime Roberto Carlos at Stamford Bridge. Are we actually going to do this and somehow, as we do most years, get a good result against Man City at our home ground? What was your thoughts as the game went on?
So I'll keep it real. Before the game, honest to God, I was like, I think we're going to win, but not because of any, underlying statistical whatever. It's just like, I'm sure we can all agree, historically over the years, Tottenham tend to perform, when it comes to crunch time, we tend to perform in a way that does us the least favours, whether that's winning or losing. Do you know what I'm saying? Champions League final, we performed a certain way. Son at left wing back, we perform a certain way. Like, with City, I'd say every time, apart from obviously the Champions League, and I think there was a year, I think Peter Crouch scored a winner that helped us into the top 4, I think. Apart from those 2 times, like the overriding, the overarching scenario around the result hasn't really mattered too much. So I think that has previously factored in. Obviously, I think being a bogey team is a very real thing. I think psychologically, I think people say it as a bit of a off the cuff comment, but I think psychologically is a real thing for certain teams. I know Palace has been a bogey team. I know Southampton were a bogey team for Arsenal a couple of times back in the day. And then I think a big thing that played into not beating City so far this year was Son not playing. So obviously when I saw Son was playing, and obviously he's captain Son, he's for certain games works better than others, but he's number 9 Son now. When I was just like, Son's gonna score. But I think with the previous 2 results this year, what was obviously played into City's hands, I'm not saying we park the bus every time over the years, because we haven't really. but it's fair to say that we've probably looked a bit more defensively responsible in years gone by when we've played City, which is one, like, they're always going to get chances. You know, the year where Aguero got ruled out last minute for offside and Llorente handballed it and it went in, like, they did score hella goals. It was a bit like back and forth for like a good 20-minute period and like 4 goals or some shit. So I think us being a bit more, having a bit more attacking intent has helped City this year. But yeah, like I said, I genuinely thought we were going to win just because the circumstance dictated that if we win, Arsenal win the league. And that's, I know we don't really like the term Spursy on here, but for people outside of the community that like to say Spurs, it would have been the most quote unquote Spursy thing to do. I saw the setup, I saw Dragic, I saw Van de Ven. I thought to myself, oh, so today is the day we want to be a bit more tactically astute. Today is the day it's just the way we are, mate. It's not, apparently that doesn't exist anymore. So I was like, I wasn't really conflicted because I knew I wanted us to lose for the greater good. There was no conflict on my end, but I was just a bit like annoyed that it seemed like Ange was setting up to actually perform when where was this against, you know, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, even getting banged by Fulham 4-0. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, first half, like obviously we didn't concede. We looked all right. I think the main positives for me, I think Dragic grew into the game. You know, early doors, some of his passes were a bit astray, but he stared down the challenge of Haaland. Like he didn't bat an eyelid. You know what I'm saying? I think we have to remember Dragic is 21. He looks like a big man, but he's 21 years old. And to perform like that in how many starts has he had now? 3, 4? Something along those lines. I think so I think whilst I got what I wanted in terms of us not winning, I think there's enough for me going forward to be like, you know what, even if I ignore the result, Dragic played pretty well. I know, like Mickey, like Yao, you were right. I think early doors Mickey struggled a bit with like he's not as languid when he's going laterally rather than striding forward. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he does look a little bit awkward turning at times. Maybe he just had to get used to that. Do you know what I'm saying? But he definitely grew into his role at slightly more defensive left back than we usually play. I wouldn't say Maddison was amazing. I'd say some of his final third passes still let him down, but he was definitely a lot more active than he has been. You know, I think one of the things I liked about Mad is early doors. If Basuma wasn't available to receive it on the half turn first phase, like Maddison was always really keen to get it off Romero, get it off Van de Ven, get a 1-2 pop in and spray. Do you know what I mean? And I think he did that. He looked a lot more confident doing it this time. I think he's tried it recently since he's been back from injury. It just wasn't really hitting. Whereas now he looked more like the Maddison we saw early doors. You know, he's not going to get goal and assist every game, but it was encouraging signs from Maddison, should we say? And then, but yeah, like I said, second, I think after who scored first was Haaland. Haaland scored 2. Haaland scored 2. Yeah, first goal obviously tight offside. I was like, you know what, I can take a 1-0 because we still played pretty well. And then went with I wouldn't say there was a point. I wouldn't say there was a point where I thought City were going to run away with it at all. There was a point where I was like, you know what, if it turns into 1-1, I'll be a little bit annoyed, but we've actually like played responsibly. I think I can't expect the players to throw the game. Like that's just ridiculous. Do you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of the discourse surrounding what the fans wanted, I think people forget like there's 11 men on the pitch that know that they have a job to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like even if it was full of academy graduates that were born in Tottenham or whatever, or used to go to primary school near Seven Sisters, like they still even think, look, man, we actually have a job to do here. Do you know what I'm saying? Hot at Pedro Porro because he made it look like he was going for the ball, and that man grinned like a Spanish cat after that pen was given. I've never seen somebody look so happy to give a penalty away. So I have to give him his credit where it's due. And you know, people were saying when Alvarez came on, like Romero was like joking with him and like rubbing his head like we got you, man. Don't worry. So if any of the players thought we might have to throw this low key but make it look good, I have to commend them. Not bothered about the loss. Obviously, it did. It's put our ops in a more difficult position, which I'm buzzing about. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think there's enough from the game where I'm like, you know what, carry this into the Sheffield United game. Let's be responsible. Let's get it done. And I hope that guy that Tops has beef, that Tope has beef with, is watching very closely.
Yeah, the everlasting beef. We're going to go into talk about Ange and his reaction post game, but before that, I just want to talk on the atmosphere in the stadium because Ange did mention that. I personally think he overreacted. It was definitely a better performance from us. We had a lot more shape. We had a lot more cohesion. Our passing movement seemed a lot more well thought out. There is still that kind of reckless chaos sometimes that you get with Ange ball. But I think having the extra midfielder, because Maddison wasn't playing left wing, he was playing like almost like a 10 at the tip of a diamond, as it were. Having him there is just that extra midfielder, especially someone that's comfortable receiving the ball. It really helped stabilize things when we were moving through the middle third. But we suffered for having Chris Brown, Twinkle Toes, on the wing, and Son too far from the goal on the other side. Because there was one point in the first half, I think, both me and my new friends in the South Stand, row 55, shout out to Tobes who let me use his ticket. My new friends in the South Stand, row 55, we were looking at one point when we were attacking, and literally Son was literally on the touchline and Brendan Johnson was on the opposite touchline. Like there was no one in the middle. So it went so wide that I think Benjico had to like literally bust the gut just to try become a focal point, or I think Saar was trying to make those runs. So I think it was a bit too stretched at points, but I get it against Man City and their shape. You can see what he was doing. I think sitting behind the goal, looking at the game from that position, you can see how the different matchups worked. But definitely is a bit of too little, too late, and it does feel disrespectful that he's taken this long to step away from his principles that he's been screaming about all year long. We're just going to take a moment just to go round the room. Please, guys, we don't need to be on it too long because I know everyone has wedding vows they can probably talk about if we were to really let loose, when it comes to his reaction. But just on a quick, we come out of that game, we're all talking going, well, at least there might not be a parade in our city, we're all excited about that, we're enjoying that moment, and then all of a sudden, all the group chats, you start seeing ping, 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 Ange's going off, attacking the fans, attacking the culture, losing mentality, you lot are bums, I've got to change everything, I've got to do some interior decorating, I've got to change all the furniture, my wife is crap at cooking, blah, 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 I need a new set of kids, like, everything is crap, need a new house, Sai, what's that moment like for you, Tuesday, 11 o'clock, when you see all that, and Wednesday morning, when you wake up and you had a chance to maybe digest it?
There's so many layers to this to dissect. It's like a Marvel movie. Like the fact of the matter is, this guy has come in with a reputation of winning everywhere that he's been. Cool. But if we look through the places that he's won, none of them are really notable enough for us to sit here and appreciate this guy as like a serial winner, right? That's not his position. That's not his station. The worrying thing is we're on our third manager that's in their 50s who comes into a club like Tottenham Hotspur and thinks that their past glories are enough to change the culture at Spurs just by stepping foot at Hotspur Way, right? And what we're seeing now is, yet again, when managers' stubbornness starts to take precedent over common sense, their first line of defense is to attack the things that we've all known about this side for the better part of half a decade, right? We know that this team needs an overhaul. We know that this team needs a character transplant. We know that this team ultimately is bereft of quality from top to bottom and needs coaching first and foremost in order to get us out of it. So for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, we've heard Ange come into press conferences and almost be blasé about the fact that from set pieces, we're fucking trash. In transition defensive situations, we're absolutely terrible. All of the goals have dried up. The team sheets leave a lot to be desired. But now, for some reason, when there's actually incentive for us to maybe be a bit more humble and say, do you know what? Like, the fans are just enjoying a little bit of fun that they've had left in this terrible second half to the season. Our manager wants to come out and be like, oh, you guys don't have the right mentality. For the last 48 hours, I've seen the foundations cracking. It's like, rude boy, the foundations on the pitch have been cracking for the whole second half of the season. So where's this high standard bullshit coming from? Where is this sense of pride coming from? When a few weeks ago you were making eulogies for the fact that Ryan Mason and, well, Make a Wish Mason, as I like to call him, and Jedniak, nepotism Jedniak, are somehow qualified to be Spurs coaches, right? Like, we're seeing the holes in the foundations in real time. You're papering over them with paper mache and giving us the mate speeches every damn day until we finally have something to actually have a little bit of a song and dance about. Now you're criticizing us. It's like, rude boy, get a life, man. Get a life. It's like, it baffles me to lack so much self-awareness, or to lack self-awareness in the way that he does.
For me, it was like, this is our time. I think I said this in the group. Like, big man, shut up. Like, you had your moment. You could have proven so much to the fans by going at that Arsenal game, going at that Chelsea game, going at that Liverpool game in a different way. Even if we lost those games, still, we could have lost those 3 games still, like 1-0, 2-0, even if it was a 3-1 or 4-1 or whatever. But you change something. You show a bit of passion. You show a bit of inventive creativity to your tactics, whatever. You don't make the same mistakes. You don't have zonal marking against the best team from set pieces in the league and give them 2 goals easy. Do you know what I mean? When they don't have to get out a second game, when they've played 4 games in 2 weeks and we haven't played any games, and all they have to do is knock the ball off your defender for a corner to give them a chance to score, because it's like a penalty for them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could have done all these things in that time, but you didn't. And then the one time where we turn around and go, you know what, bruv, we're done, we're all right, just let us have a little moment, yeah? It's all jokes. It's all jokes. Because the thing is, we've seen them win the league at our ground. Twice, I think. Like, we'll firm it. Because even if we beat Man City, it would have been like, you know what, it was fun, but we won the game, and we'll take the parade and whatever. We'll take the jokes. We would have firmed it. Like, no one would have been up in arms and whatever. And then a few comments here and there, a few tweets here and there. But we would have firmed it. We firmed it before. What I didn't like is the fact he compared it to Celtic Rangers. My thing is, bruv, Celtic and Rangers, it's either one of them winning every year. Like, it's not the same as Tottenham and Arsenal, because obviously we don't have a history of winning. So when you're in a position to do something positive for us, aka over the past 4 or 5 weeks, and the fans are ready to back you, and you don't, and you flop, and we're like, okay, cool, all right, just get out to the end of the season, bro. We'll take Europa because it's looking that way. And then all of a sudden, you want to now make changes, and you're cussing us. Yeah, you got to learn how to read the room, brother. Before you start decorating, you got to learn how to read it. Hi, I want to come to you. What were your thoughts? Because I know you can be more measured in your responses than others, especially more than Yao. I'm just going to call it and say it as it is. So I'm going to leave you out to the end.
Yeah, occasionally measured. You know, it is. I pretty much agree with like everything Sai said. It's one of them ones. I feel like what Ange said in isolation is not inherently wrong in some ways. Like, yeah, he wants to build a culture where we're only concerned about like us winning. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get all that. I do completely understand. But all he had to do was say what he said, and either before, in the middle, or after, just take a bit of accountability. Just say like, you know what, as a fan who's on the tribalism thing, I fully I understand, I can empathize with where you're coming from. I just don't agree. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not asked about what he said in there. Like I really don't. It doesn't change how I feel about Ange as being our coach. Like I'm not like Ange out now. Some people are saying, oh, he might leave. I don't really care. But yeah, had he just said like, look, I completely empathize where you're coming from. I don't agree. I'm a professional. I have a job to do. I'm here to win games. He also should have just turned around and said like, you know, whilst we didn't win today, we had more possession, we had more shots. Their goalkeeper off the bench got man of the match. I think, you know, outside of everything that has to be taken into account about the kind of chances we had. Son finishes his dinner any other day. Do you know what I mean? So he's trying to say like, look, we played better today. Should I have been better? Should I have set us up better against Arsenal? Should I have set us up better against Chelsea both times? Should I have set us better against, you know, going to the Amex and getting blammed 4-1? Like, had I set us up in these situations, this scenario of the fans being split on whether they want us to win the league for our rivals or not doesn't happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Just literally, that's a little sprinkle of accountability, and it doesn't change anything he said. It just looks a lot better. Maybe he doesn't care about optics. It's possible. I don't know. It's also possible he was super pissed off and maybe he's had time to reflect and he's like, you know what, maybe I could have worded it a bit differently, but I don't think it's that deep. I'm definitely not part of some supporters group that feels like they need to have a meeting with the manager to explain the rivalry with Arsenal. Like this forced relevancy thing. Like you think like Ange gets it, he doesn't care. And you know what? He gets paid enough not to care, really. Do you know what I'm saying? He should care that we shouldn't be in this position. But he's like, bro, I get paid money to win games. You ain't won enough games, but you do, so I get it. You know what I'm saying? I do like though that everyone's like, oh, he's coming at the fans, pause. But like, I do like that he said there's an internal thing, and I like that there's been this alleged leak of. Whoever leaked it is very nasty, but fair enough. Where they're like, yeah, there was certain coaches and staff who are probably Spurs fans were joking about playing the youth team, and Ange kicked off. And if Ange genuinely kicked off, that bit I actually respect because he's looking like this person obviously thinks they're on a level with Ange. I say this person, these people, whoever it is, thinks they're on a level with Ange where they can bust joke about potentially losing the game. And Ange just looked at him and was like, have you lost your fucking mind? Like, what the hell do you think this is? So that bit I have to respect. Do I wish we had that a bit more in certain games? Of course, but I can take some positive out of it, the way he's reacted, because like he is a guy who cares about winning football games. People are human, people make mistakes. He has made some mistakes. He's allowed to make mistakes. First season, lost, in my opinion, best bare minimum best striker in the league, if not best striker in the world. All that money was already spent. I've got to look at you a bit funny when you're spending 50 million. I can't say Chris Brown because Chris Brown's my guy, but you know what I'm saying? Spending 50 million on him when Callum Hudson-Odoi was there for 3 million. Don't shoot me. You know, but yeah, he's going to make mistakes. I'm not really asked about his run. I'm just like, you know what? We're going to draw a line under it. If this is the energy you have, keep it moving forward. Hold everyone accountable. Hold yourself accountable to certain standards. And let's just absolutely blam Sheffield United, win Europa League, and we go from there. Like that's what I'm expecting of him now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a really, really, really nasty joke that I can make about this comment on screen now that I'm not going to make. So let's just leave it there. Yeah.
For context, I can't lie. For anyone who can't see the screen, a comment was made about you can't talk about fragility in the team when Ryan Mason is in the camp. The joke literally writes itself, and we're not going to do it.
We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We're going to keep it.
Tino wins.
We're going to keep it. Keep it. Stop. Right, yeah, please. Lift us into some sort of realm of decency. I can't believe I'm asking you to do that at this precise moment. And his reaction, real quick before we move on to talk about the young G's and the future and the final game.
Firstly, the Tottenham Supporters Trust you have to be the worst coalition of people I've ever seen in my life. Honestly. Honestly.
All right, you stole my joke, man.
Honestly.
I had that lined up.
Listen, I've never been more embarrassed, secondhand embarrassed by a bunch of people I've never met in my life than when it comes to the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust. Every single last one of you, you have no right to set any sort of rules in your household. No right whatsoever. They're the kind of people that would be like, come, I want to talk to you because you bought an extra packet of digestive biscuits and we're trying to save 50p. You pieces of, you know what? I was going to swear, but no, I am shits. Yeah, because I don't understand. Forget the rant that Ange has even put out. You have no powers. So why do you think you can set up a meeting to tell man what it's like to be a Spurs support? Because one thing they definitely can't do is come to me and be like, oh yeah, I want to talk to you about what it's like to be a Spurs support. First and foremost, last season and 2 seasons ago, when I warned the world, there is not a point of us doing a protest because these men don't know how to protest well. They're gonna go there, they're gonna sing songs, Levy's gonna laugh, and we're gonna go about our business. I said, if these men are serious and they want my respect, go and burn the stadium. Turn it over. Yeah. Break the shop. My mum is currently situated in Tottenham. Now, I'm not telling you to slap the lady, but be crazy enough to think about it. Then I can respect you because anarchy is what I respect. That's why I respect the French people. They'll take dog manure, smear it across your face. That's real madness. If you want change, act mad. But these men, you know, I don't know where they're situated. They've typed up an email, sent it to an admin address, and requested a meeting with an Australian. Like, do you know what Australian people are like? Requested a meeting with an Australian to tell him why it was important for us to lose to Man City. It's embarrassing. Seriously, look yourself in the mirror and slap yourself. Now, to come back to Ange's comments, I'm in agreement with Ahal. I'm glad that he called out, you know, some of the people. Well, he didn't say names, but I'm glad that he called out, you know, that there is some losers internally because there are, you know, Levy's a loser. Like I wasn't going to go down that road, but I am. Levy's a loser. Great businessman, fantastic businessman, because you can't deny what he's built in terms of stadium and stability, business-wise for the club. When it comes to football, his footballing brain is equivalent to Tobias's kick-ups. They're horrid, absolutely horrid to look at. Ohio has said something twice, by the way. He said this in the group. He said this live. And now I'm starting to, Ohio's actually pissed me off because he said this twice. So it must be Gordon because I'm furious that I've heard this. He said, we've spent the K money already. Hey, Charlie, you better hope with your bottom dollar that this is not the case. Because if it is, I'm going to be unbearable this summer. I'm going to be beyond unbearable. He spent 50 million on Johnson. Now, most of you guys know very well, I was giving Johnson a blight this season because I thought, yeah, he was purchased for next season. You know, embed yourself this season, earn your ropes. I've seen enough. Sell that kid. I don't care that we spent 50 million on him. Sell him. That's on Ange. That's on the club. Don't like it one bit. Ange's comments, however, are not the same as Jose or Conte's comments. Let's make that clear. Jose didn't really have a rebuild. Conte got given 13 man, decided to play Højbjerg for the rest of the season. Like, those two managers, they have to hold their own, you know, it's a different ballgame. And just come in. We know what we are. We know we're in a rebuild. We know there's going to be players that are not going to be good enough. That's fine. But Ange has been talking the last few. I don't know if you guys have actually seen it, but the last few press conferences, he's been talking about winning the league next season. I'm like, okay. I mean, hey, some big words coming from you, mate. You know, just throw some shrimp on the barbie. Flipping hell. This is absolutely insane. Well, if this is what you want to come with, then my advice to you would be this. Your set piece coach. Oh, yeah, you were about that. I was about to say something ridiculous. I was gonna get clapped.
Control yourself, brother.
I'm gonna control myself. One of your set piece coaches doesn't have a badge. The other one wasn't a good defender. And to be honest with you, how can he teach our defenders how to stop goals when he was shipping them in weekly at Palace? No. It doesn't make sense, Ohio. It just does not make sense. Ohio, who's never been to Ohio, but is bigger than the state of Ohio. Let it be known, people. Let it be known. That's a real dude. I can't believe this. If he doesn't get a proper set piece coach, because apparently he wants to switch up the stuff. If he doesn't get a proper set piece coach, I can't believe the comment I've just said. But that's cool. He has to be looked at heavily. He has to be scrutinized. This is the season, though, by the way. After preseason, when we come into the new season, this is the season where he either earns his stripe as this manager that has won everything everywhere he goes, or he gets sacked in January. It's going to be one or the other, because there's no way we're doing what we did this season, where we're playing a high line against Chelsea with 9 men. For him to be applauded, by the way, he was applauded. The fans clapped him. They said, well done for sticking to your philosophy. All of a sudden, now you want them to applaud you for trying to beat City and aid Arsenal into winning the trophy. This is why I told you we should have had a younger manager. I said this in the summer. I didn't understand why we signed a 59-year-old. He's 60, for goodness sakes. I'm an ageist.
Oh, God.
On the subject of age, we're going to just switch it around and go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Ohio, we yesterday, it was actually a momentous week for the club. We've had quite a successful season on the academy front. Actually, first a shout out to Spurs women who got to the final last week. They got slapped up by Man United, but here we go. 4-0. Jeez. But Spurs under 21s got to final yesterday against Fulham. They also got done 4-0. But there is, and I know I mentioned this in the group, there is a growing feeling across the academies of all the London clubs that Spurs have something special. They have a generation, or across the different age groups, of talent. I want to give you a moment, Ohio, just to speak on the youth at the club, the future. What do you see maybe going into pre-season? Tuesday was momentous for us and the NSO, who've been watching Mikey Moore and his development. He's 16. He's now our youngest debutant in the league, and he came on for a few minutes, looked busy, didn't really get much of the ball, but just to see him in and around the first team setup, and there's now talk about what he's going to be doing over the pre-season, over the summer, going to the under-17s, Euros, being around pre-season, what will happen next year. Maybe a few minutes from you, Ohio, just to speak on what you think is happening in our academy, and how does that project into the future for yourself?
Yeah, man. So obviously, there's been a lot of chat about our academy over the years, like going way back, like since before Winks made his debut and stuff like that. I've always kind of felt it was a bit of a false image the way Poch was talked about bringing young players through. It just seems to be like I mean, a lot of it was put towards Kane and Winks, but it was actually Tim Sherwood that brought Kane through against Daniel Levy's wishes because he wanted him to play Soldado. And we've had a lot of chats about what is a successful academy. Is it how much they contribute to your own first team? Is it how many Premier League footballers you create? Is it how many footballing careers you create from League Two and above? Do you know what I'm saying? There's different ways to quantify the success. Shout out the likes of Harvey White, who has been in and around the first team. He's done his preseason tour, scored some nice free kicks at some of his loan situations. Didn't quite make it, but I think if Harvey White can have a successful career, in and around League One champs, I'd take that as a success. We have a lot to say about Harry Winks, but call a spade a spade. I don't think Harry Winks ever had a bad game for England, and he's won the championship. He's gone somewhere. He's comfortable. He's the guy now, and so that's another success. Andros Townsend is still playing, right? I believe still playing. So there has been varying degrees of successes. It's really, especially for the football manager lovers amongst us, it's very easy to say, "Oh, try this kid, try that kid." And even though I get on Diplomat Yao, that he is right in the sense that sometimes we might think a kid is ready and he just simply isn't. I think someone like Dylan Markandé, who is he still at Blackburn? Dylan Markandé?
Yeah, he's just come back from his injury and he's had a decent season, to be fair.
Okay, cool. So like obviously horrendous injury, and you never know. Like he might have just risen it. He might not have swum. I think whoever the manager was at the time was never going to really work. There was loads of Troy Parrott shouts back in the day, but I feel like with respect to Troy Parrott, I think he'll have a good career. I think he'll be a decent player. But I think people were trying to have Parrott shouts when Kane was fit. Do you know what I mean? It was a bit ridiculous. I feel like going off Yao's points, I think you have to. When I'm watching some of these youth players, and you're going to hate me for talking a bit of Cobham, but when I was watching Valentino Livramento for like one game, I was like, this guy he's too far ahead of everyone. Like he's playing in slow motion compared to everybody. Do you know what I'm saying? And Southampton saw the same thing. That's why they bought him. I feel like I'd seen similar with Devine when he was playing under 23s when he was 17. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't quite ready. You know what I'm saying? When he 2-footed, then he drink water. But like there's certain players you can see it. Do you know what I'm saying? Donnelly, you can see it. Mikey when he's playing under 18s, you can see it. I can't say I've seen too much of like Alfie Dorrington because they don't really show defenders highlights like that. But I'd say from this current crop that we have, I think there's a number that they at the bare minimum just need to be given the pathway to have an impact on the first team. It's not going to be like, I can't lie. I've been playing Football Manager for the last like 48 hours, and like there's certain games I'm starting Donnelly and Mikey Moore against Chelsea just because I can, and I somehow won. That's not going to happen in real life. Do you know what I mean? I got lucky, but I think now more than to be honest, I'm gonna say more than ever, we need to be having like serious conversations about having strong pathways to at least give them the opportunity when we're having some of these discussions who we're going to sign in the future. Obviously, we're looking at we'll talk about Lucas Bergvall later. That is going to affect any kind of attacking midfielders we're going to sign. Mikey coming in now. I have a feeling I don't think they're going to want to loan Mikey out ever. I can see that happening just because he's now had this debut. I think Alfie's debut came against Marine in the FA Cup and it was a bit different. I think because of his position and his style, you kind of need him to tussle with the big boys in the middle. So I'm glad he's had his 2 loans in different leagues. I do feel, I think at the beginning of the season, Andrew was saying, I'm not going to sign money for the sake of it if I think there's a young kid who could potentially do a job. And I think whilst his recent comments haven't shown as much consistency as we'd like, I'd say overall, compared to a lot of managers, and just quite believable. Like I believe him when he says, if I genuinely believe a youth player is better than an option that I can go and get, I'm going to play them. So I do take some positive from that. I'm a little concerned about the striker situation. I say concerned just because I'd love to see Scarlett, Lancashire, Soonsup Bell, all these kids now play. Now that there's no Kane, but we've got to call a spade a spade. Richarlison's got to go. We've got to get some element or some breed of shooter, whether that's someone a bit more established, but there aren't really any like that are available for. I don't want to say cheap, but reasonable pricing, should we say? I think the opinion on Tony has gone down a bit here. Like we're talking about Benjamin Sesko, which I know Arsenal are going to be in for him. He's only 20. Do you know what I'm saying? Sesko is 2 years older than Lancashire, 1 year older than Scarlett. Like we got to find the balance of, yeah, we want these boys to play. It hits different when one of the homegrown scores. Like when Scarlett scores that first goal, it's going to hit like crack cocaine. I'm telling you, it's going to be mental. And I hope that there's many more. But like Lancashire looks really good. I have a feeling Soonsup Bell's probably not gonna play for us a couple of years down. I think they're looking to loan him out, and you never know what's gonna happen with his development. Do you know what I'm saying? Because these are young kids. So I'd say attacking options, we look nice. Midfield options, we look all right, to be fair. Obviously Tyrese Hall, really excited about Tyrese Hall. I feel like it'd be interesting to see how they use him. I don't want him to get pigeonholed because we're looking for a 6, and he can dictate tempo, he can do the one-touch passing, but because he can get forward, and I think he even said, I don't know if it was when he signed his contract or a more recent post-match interview, I think he got 2 goals, and he was like, he's trying to add more goals to his game. It's like, okay. Are you trying to be a bit more of a box-to-box kind of vibe? But then again, he's either the same age or like a year older than Archie Gray, who I really want us to sign. Someone made a comment, I think that George Bannister guy said Archie Gray can like cover it right back as well. So that might not be too bad. But yeah, at the end of the day, the only one I'm not really seeing a lot of is fullbacks wise. I think that Leo Black kid is quite good, but he's under 18s. It's like we're going to need to find like another right back in between before we can start having convos about any of our youth players getting in at fullback. But yeah, just to summarize, I'm genuinely really excited about this crop, probably because I'm paying a lot more attention to it. But it's easy to pay attention when you've got X amount of players who are in like youth England setups. You know what I'm saying? Like I think as time goes on, when you see players in these younger setups, I think their talent is highlighted is highlighted for a reason. I think England youth have certain standards now because of that team that had the Sanchos, the Fodens, the Hudson-Odois. You know what I'm saying? I think they hold a certain standard now. So it's great seeing those players getting international honours now. And yeah, I think they were saying Mikey's probably going to go to the Euros, which I think is great for him. I think I'm glad he is. I think he needs to be in an environment where, in the nicest way possible, he's not the guy. Do you know what I'm saying? Or he has to prove that he is the guy. Do you know what I'm saying? I think the earlier you can create that dog in someone from young, because I was hearing some whispers about, maybe he was getting a bit big for his boots, and kids. He's a kid. He's human. Do you know what I'm saying? Like think back to when we were in school. Think of that guy who was cold at football. Imagine he was told, yeah, nah, you can actually go play Prem now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like these children are allowed to. No one's going to be the kid that is always reading his book and going to church like Bukayo Saka. Hold that Saka though, I respect him, but you get what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I'm excited Mikey gets to go. I hope at least it'd be nice if another teammate went with him. I think if anybody gets loaned out, don't loan anybody to that Robert Fark guy. Not keen on him managing any of our players, especially the black ones at Leeds. But yeah, if anyone gets loaned, it'd be nice if they like literally had a mate to go with them as well. Not on like a work experience vibe, but we can't underestimate how important it is for kids to settle when they have any of these loans. So yeah, man, it's looking positive. There's just a lot of moving parts, and they're putting a lot of money into the youth system. So let's just make sure we're paying attention, and we don't get another situation where Marcus Edwards is the Marcus Edwards and the Nonnies, and like no, I don't think Nonnie's incredible. Good player though, good player. I think how old's Nonnie? 20, 21, 22? Do you know what I'm saying? Like
I think 22.
exactly. Let's be in a situation where we're losing these players and they start doing favors for our rivals. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. As you guys know, in the group chat I watched Lucas Bergvall yesterday. I've watched a few of his games in the Swedish league. If you can be bothered to look through the deep dark recesses of football Twitter and football stream websites or whatever, to find a link, you can watch some of his games. He played about 60 minutes yesterday in a convincing. It ended up being 5-0, but when he came off, it was 3-0. Had a hand in the second and third goal in the second half, and he looks a massive talent. And again, in keeping with what, you know, because there's other players that we're looking at. I think we've just signed a Northern Irish striker who's 15, 16 years old. And he'll be coming into our academy. And I was explaining this to some people the other day, that the thing is, when you have, Chelsea saw this, Arsenal started to see this in the past few years, Man City have this up north. When you have 3 or 4 players of significant quality in a particular age group, it attracts other talent, because they didn't know that, you know, when they're on their England camps or the Northern Ireland camp or Wales camp, you know, a lot of these players play against, you know, for 2 different countries, whatever. They'll be able to go, oh, you know, what's it like at Tottenham? And there's 3 or 4 players there. They know the talent's going to be there. You know, it's not a case of we just got 1 or 2 players, which is what we had in the past 10, 12 years, where you've got your one Harry Winks in the England under-18s, as it were, by himself. So the fact we've got 3 or 4 players knocking around a lot of these, represent those national teams of that kind of quality, I think is what's attracting the better talent. And then we're going out aggressively and trying to buy the next ones coming through across Europe. Lucas Berger, he played as an 8, I think, to start off. Played as a 10 in the 4-2-3-1 in the second half. Absolutely cooked his man a few times. Absolutely cooked him. I've just seen a comment here. Where does Bergvall even fit into this team? He fits in as competition for James Maddison. If Maddison wants to drop 3-4 months of stinkers, then we need a player who can come in and dictate. And the thing I like from what I've been watching of Bergvall, I've watched maybe 6-7 games, both historical and also in the past month or so, is that his mentality, he likes to dominate the game. He doesn't like to be on the periphery of the game. He likes to get on the ball. Obviously, Maddison's been playing as a left 8 for us. Bergvall will slot in just there, left 8. He likes to drive with the ball, likes to take shots from distance. Something we don't have in the team. Take shots from distance. I haven't seen him on set pieces much. Maybe that's not his necessary role in the team. Don't say he can't do it. And he loves a decent 3 ball, which we know Hun-Min Song is a big fan of. So let's see what happens. He may end up coming over and getting loaned out for 6 months. You know, maybe, you know, he's definitely a cut above the Swedish league, but that is the Swedish league. Let's see. We'll see what happens. He comes over July 1st, I think, is when technically he becomes one of our players. I don't know what the arrangement is, whether he stays with them to finish their season, then comes over, or does.
Yeah, no, he's staying until the season. He joins us July 1st.
Right. Okay. Which is not the end of their season, so I don't know how it's going to work in terms of him accommodating for our pre-season, how much football he's going to play, because obviously you don't want him playing all the way from February all the way into September or whatever. So let's move on to the final point. Sheffield and Spurs. Final game of the season. We have one more game to go. Situation where we are, what is it? We've got a little bit of a cushion, a few points in hand to just secure 5th.
Coach Dave is lagging from the bunker.
Fully lagging. I think, So obviously, I think Dave was going to ask the question about the Sheffield United game. I'm assuming he's going to ask what's you guys' belief on it before he comes back. Sai, I'll start with you. Can you please tell us how you feel we're going to fare against Sheffield United?
Hey, I'm backing my boy on this one. All I want to see is how get a have a safe journey Hallmark card from Brother Tobes at the Sheffield United ground. Send them boys packing back to the championship. See you later. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord split you. All of that, all of that, all of that, all of that.
They need to
That's it. That's it. That's what I got.
I like that because I'm gonna go to Ohio Macho Man. Yeah, because I need you to obviously give your takes on that. I like the fact that Sai is back in, brother Tobias, brother Goldberg. It's a nice feat. What about you, Ohio?
I'd say so. Sheffield United haven't won a game. So they won one game on the 10th of February. That was Luton away.
Nasty.
Then the last win before, I think they've won 3 games all year. They've won once. I think they've drawn 6, maybe. I think they've drawn 6 games all year, and it's just been L's on L's on L's. Like, we have to massacre them. Like, we have to go to Bramwell Lane and just raise hell. I think that's the only thing that's acceptable. I don't want a situation where we bop them off the park and then we don't score last minute from a Kulusevski right foot that hasn't existed since that one goal, and we lose our minds. Like, I need a performance that's like, right, we have turned the corner since that City game. Like, we are a serious team. I don't care that these lot have been relegated with one of the worst records of all time. I don't really care how the Blade has got to say. Like, I need a performance that justifies everyone who's listening. When we win, I need everyone to go to Tobes' page. I need you all to retweet, comment, and quote tweet every single time he dunks on How the Blade. It's necessary to balance the universe. Like, I just need everyone to jump on and do that. So, yeah, we just professional job. Like, I can't lie. I want 3-0 on the hour. Get Mikey Moore like 20 minutes. Get Tyrese Hall. Get Tyrese Hall 10 minutes. Shout out at Vicky Hall. Following the account, shout out Tyrese Hall's mum. Yeah, just professional job, get it done, send them home. Like, that's all I need. That's all I need.
You know, it's interesting you say that. Yeah, it would be nice to get some of the kids to have a run out. I haven't seen much of Tyrese Hall, but I've heard very good things about him. So last game of the season, you know, get the scoreline up, get these kids some minutes. You know, let's see what they can do against. I'm not going to say a professional outlet, because any team has won 3 games is an absolute embarrassment. You're paid thousands of. Think about what I'm about to say here, yeah. And how the Blade clip this, you know, do whatever you want with it, like, because you attack brother Tobias, and you know, I'm going to come here and balance out the universe. How your team has won 3 games in a 38-game season. Let's take into consideration. I mean, it's very hard to win games in the Premier League. That much I will say. But I've not seen a professional team win 3 games in a competitive season since the last time I played PES. Not eFootball, PES. Yeah, this is absolutely egregious. You mean to tell me you picked up 9 points, win points, by the way, in an entire season, 38 games. Yeah, I'm not going to count the draws. I'm just talking about, in fact, your total points tally. Now, I can be fair and say, you know, you could beat us at your ground and go off on a win. Okay, well, whatever. But your total points tally potentially will be 19 points. 19 points.
They've conceded 101 goals.
They've conceded. Thank you. Hey, Macho Man. These statistics that you have now brought to my attention, unbelievable. They have conceded 100+ goals. I'm going to say something because I'm going to show my age here. When I was younger, you know, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, they used to be in the league. Age already? Oh no, I'm back. You know, they've bounced up and down and all that jazz.
Wait, all I'm saying is they not like us, man.
They've
Hey, I need to see Tobe C walking all the way home. Just see walking all the way home with the they're not like us. They're not like us playing in the background. I need it. It needs to go viral.
This one is personal. this one is personal. Can't lie. This week, this one's for Toby.
It's
I don't know if
awful.
Toby's is in the comments. I know Toby's going to be in America still during the game, or if he's going to be back. But whatever happens, man, we need to put them in a spliff, man, because that that fan has been on one. But yeah, man. Yow's coming back.
Bring me back. Listen, how you your blood fire to Bambarat. How dare you hack into my internet? My Wi-Fi, my Wi-Fi, as the French say, that I pay big bucks for. How dare you? Don't nobody cut me off. I got things to say. Yeah. Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, they used to be in the league back in the day, back in the 90s, yeah, when we had flipping stickers of football players. Nobody liked any of your players or any of your squad. We used to swap them out for flipping stickers of Gareth Southgate. That's how much we hated you. Yeah, your team is a piece of garbage. You've picked up 16 points all season. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of the town. You should be ashamed of the bloody stadium. You should be bloody ashamed of the name Sheffield. What kind of name is that? It sounds like garbage. Listen, this final game, we better blam the bloody hell out of you guys and get out of the league. Never return. Never come back till you have some bloody balls to win more than 3 games. Even, in fact, even double-digit games in your lifetime. How dare you? How dare you to do that? And if my internet ever cuts off like this again while I'm talking about your crap club, I'm going to blam your team even more. Absolute piece of garbage. You mean to tell me you've taken only 9 points from teams in the entire season? How dare you? And then you have the audacity to go after my brother Tobias. How? I'm not going to lie to you. Your at name's garbage because nobody cares what blade you're running with. It's blunt and just like your team. Absolute piece of rubbish.
I need us to hit him for free so the goal difference is 69 so we can say freaky yes. 69.
Yes.
Yeah.
69 God.
Run for your lives. Run for your lives. I need it.
How is
all the means?
3-0 Spurs. 3-0 Spurs.
3-0 Spurs. Let's go for a convincing win to dull the blades. We're anti-knife crime here, so we need the blades put away for the weekend and for the rest of the season. Never to have them back in the Premier League. We don't do knife crime here. So Sheffield United, take your blades, take them back up north to your hills, and we will see you never again, guys. It's been a great, been a great pod. We've had fun reintroducing ourselves to the community because I know some of us haven't been on for a long time. It's been great to have the engagement from the crowd. If you're listening to this and you're not following us on all the socials, please make sure you are. You can follow us on X or Twitter if you're older than 30. Instagram, TikTok. Follow us on our individual pages. We always have something to say. We don't shy away from conversation. We don't shy away from confrontation. We don't shy away from condemnation. So please make sure you are locked in. Follow the main account, Touchline Fracker. Make sure you're following all the other clubs. You've got Chelsea Hour, you've got Mugger, you've got Cop and Fracker, you have the Touchy Gooners. Have I forgotten anyone? I don't think I have. But please, guys, make sure you lock into the whole community. We'll be going through the summer. Even though this is the end of the football season, this is not the end of what we do because we make sure we keep our continual content coming. Patreon, if you want some exclusive stuff behind, yes, there will be a bit of a paywall, but that keeps the lights on, keeps us going, keeps us putting out great content for you guys. And we'll be able to break down tactics, break down transfer targets, break down pre-season stuff, break down comments from the club. We're probably breaking down comments from THST because, you know, they like to embarrass us once every 3 months. So it's what we do. We make a habit out of it. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. You can't get rid of us that quickly. So thank you guys for listening, and we shall be with you next week. Come on, you Spurs. Peace.
Peace.